Dungeness A nuclear power station, first connected to the national grid in 1965, finally ceased generating power on December 31st, 2006. Dungeness B station, which went on stream in 1983, is scheduled for decommission in 2018. Dungeness Peninsula, Kent, September 2017. The miniature railway train made its way over the barren wasteland of shingle, stretching out as far as the eye could see. There was a strange alien quality to this bleak wilderness. It intoxicated the souls of its residents with a dark ambience of brooding mystery and foreboding. As the cold mist rolled in from the English Channel, the little train seemed lost in a place that seemed further removed from civilization than the end of the world itself. As Dr. Nathan Gunning alighted at the station, he paused to look over the station fence at the twin nuclear power stations that dominated this lonely corner of England. Their lights cast an eerie glow over the surrounding landscape. Their humming machinery and ominous, ghostly alarms floated through the fog like the cries of a baying hound. As he left the station, the cold wind flooded his eyes, nose and mouth. The timeless voice of Dungeness welcomed him home. As the comforting whistle of the departing steam train echoed through the evening air, he was alone again. In the quiet of his fisherman's cottage, battered by centuries of storm winds and salty sea air, he set down his documents on the dining room table. Taking a small mobile telephone from his pocket, he made a call. Dungeness A Operations Centre, Will Ashton speaking. Will, hello mate, it's me. Nathan, how are you? How was the board meeting? It was a success, Will. They've given us the go-ahead. Really? That's fantastic news. I'll tell the rest of the project team. You know what this means for us, don't you? Sure I do. We're pushing back the frontiers of human spaceflight further than ever before. Not only that, don't you see, this is the dawn of a new age. What we've discovered, well, it'll change the world forever. We're about to completely redefine the limits of human achievement. Yeah, Dungeness will become the new Cape Canaveral, the launch pad for a new generation of space vehicles, powered by nuclear reactors, capable of travelling faster than we've ever been able to travel before. Nathan, you and I know, it's incredible. When is the rest of the team due to arrive? On the last day of power generation at Dungeness B. From that date onwards, the entire site is ours, property of the British Nuclear Propulsion Laboratory. As the night drew in, its sharp teeth clawed at the timber walls of the fisherman's shack. Dr. Gunning stood in his stony garden, bordered only by a fragile chicken wire fence, looking at the site where the future of mankind would be born. Yet, he had to concede, despite the technology that would make it all possible, the ancient power of this place was inescapable. Part of him felt a vague sense of discomfort about what he and his team were about to do. Suddenly, behind him, a crunching of shingle underfoot. Startled by the sound, he turned round and looked into the moonlit darkness. Gradually, 10 shadowy forms began to dissolve from it and drew steadily closer. An icy shiver ran down Nathan's spine. Something was very wrong here. He could not move from the spot. He was entirely transfixed on the wraith-like beings that appeared to be walking towards him. As they reached the fence, the full sight of them took him aback. An inexplicable sense of fear gripped him as he realized what he was seeing. 3 men in radiation suits, the visors burned through, their faces scarred, their penetrating white eyes staring at him, full of disbelief, shock and profound terror. With them, 3 children, barely able to walk, flesh burnt from their bones, half human. 3 adults so badly charred that he could not make out whether they were men or women. Who are you? What are you? The figures remained still and silent. Please, what is it that you want? Do you need my help? One of the men spoke, his voice low and trembling, his hand reaching out pathetically. Help. Help us, please. Save us. Don't let it happen. What? Don't let what happen? Stop it, before it's too late. The figures began to fade away, replaced by the silvery glow of the moonlight. Nathan stood by the shore, looking out at the English Channel, profoundly shaken by what he had witnessed on the Ness. His eyes were hollow, his skin pallid, his cold blood warmed only by the radiation humming through the fabric of the power station. Nathan, you all right? Oh, Will. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see you there. You look like you've seen a ghost. Nathan turned to his friend and fellow scientist. I can't explain it, Will. I just can't. It doesn't make sense. It isn't possible. What isn't, mate? Are you sure you're all right? Nathan picked up a small pebble and skimmed it into the sea. It crashed into the water in a maelstrom of ripples. He steadied himself and turned to his colleagues. Yeah, I'm fine. Just had a strange dream last night, that's all. Not surprised. This place gives me the creeps sometimes too. Come on, we've got some paperwork to complete back at the lab. The two men trudged back across the beach to the buzzing industrial hulk behind them. Dr. Gunning lay in his bed, the night before the official end of Dungeness as a nuclear power plant. He could not sleep. Strange voices filled his mind, the haunting words of those figures he had seen that night. Already the rest of his team were on their way, from all corners of the United Kingdom, yet Dr. Gunning could not shake the feeling that something was just not right. A loud knock on the front door awoke him. Dr. Gunning looked at his alarm clock. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. "Who is that?" he muttered, and got up to open the door. He jumped back in shock. A man in a radiation suit, face burned, eyes piercing, glowing a strange white, carrying an injured child in his arms. Nathan backed into the corner of the room. The man set the child down on the floor. "Look," the man said, in that eerie, unnatural voice of his. Nathan knelt down by the child. Her face was unrecognisable, burned to cinders by intense heat. Her legs were broken, bleeding, and her skin was horribly ravaged. "Save her, Nathan," said the man. "Save us all." Nathan looked into the eyes of the man that stood before him. "Oh my God. Will, my friend, what happened to you?" The man reached forward and gripped Nathan's arm with an icy, clammy hand. "Nathan, we were wrong. Please, don't let it happen." Suddenly, the room melted into a panic-stricken reactor control room. Alarms screamed out and bells rang. "The propulsion reactors, they're going critical. The cooling systems are failing. The cores are becoming exposed. Reroute all auxiliary power to the coolant pumps. We've got to get the reactions under control." "Too late. Power systems are non-functional. Nothing's responding. We've lost control. Evacuate, now." The walls of the room were torn apart by a massive, deafening explosion. Blinding white light and searing heat filled the room. Men were scorched where they stood, unable to escape the atomic inferno. Nathan was out on the shingle again. Fierce blast winds rushing past his ears. Men, women and children incinerated as they desperately tried to run for cover across the exposed wasteland. The 10 figures approached from the hellish chaos, fading away into flames before they could even get close. Nathan woke up in a cold sweat. He sat bolt upright in bed, his eyes wide with terror as reality reasserted itself slowly around him. Good afternoon. In today's news, controversial plans for a nuclear propulsion project at the former Dungeness power station site in Kent have been mysteriously shelved. According to sources, the chief scientist behind the project, Dr. Nathan Gunning, unexpectedly handed in his resignation this morning.